Welcome back to SA Sports Show, and it's Blast from the Past. And last week had a fantastic interview which got raving reports about, so thank you for all our viewers. That was very nice. But we've got the great Dexter Kennedy back, so thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun last week. I'm sure you would have seen a little of some of the highlights of the show. It was great. I thank you for sharing all your, some of your memories, and we spoke about your West Adelaide career of 250 games, and then sneaking over to Port Adelaide for a couple of years, and just mentioning a couple of the players that you played with Port, because which I didn't realise, but you barracked for Port Adelaide as a kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was we were sort of talking about a little bit about the different cultures in the club, and some of the players that I suppose you got to then play with at Port Adelaide. Your Russell Eberts, your Craig Bradleys. That must have been great.
Yeah, and Greg Emerson, by the way. No, it was good. And back in the 70s, all clubs had a good group of really, really good players, good ruckmen. Every club had a great ruckman.
Yeah.
Or some of them had two.
So I was really lucky because I started really passionately watching footy since I was 6 years old. So we're talking 72, 73. I mean, that era of football through those 70s was just amazing, and and I wouldn't want to miss a game or a kick or a handball, of any Port Adelaide player, and and that's how great our competition was, because we didn't know about the VFL. No, we had the best league in Australia.
Correct.
And the 70s certainly proved it.
Yeah, you're right there, and it was tough, hard footy too, and conditions were muddy. The grounds in Norwood.
Talk about West Adelaide time, muddy.
Yeah, so all the grounds were tough to play on, particularly if it had been raining.
Yeah. And state footy. I mean, I know you're very, very proud South Australian. I think you wore the Guernsey, over 10 times. Yeah. One of my greatest memories is my father, and I've said this a couple of times on the Blast from the Past, so that I've mentioned it again, was when my father took me to a state game, which you probably would have played in, was in the mid 70s, and instead of yelling and screaming at you, I'm barracking for you, and people forget about those days, it was, and we respected Victoria, but geez, we wanted to beat them, didn't we?
Correct. Yeah. No, it was good, and playing against the Victorians, and also I played against West Australia as well, and played in a couple of under 21 sides against Queensland. So So it was back then, of course, Neil Knuckles, Neil Curley, Foster Williams. They were so passionate, like Ted Whitten was in Victoria. They were so passionate about their state football. And it was fantastic. I remember the 77, I think, the first year I played state footy, was the centenary of our year. So
that's right.
And of our league, but rolling up to the first state training and seeing all the guys you played against.
That's it,
and then you all had to gel into one team. It was quite nerve-wracking, actually.
Do I have to play with Grant Corns? Really?
And but especially the experienced players, they once again wrapped their arms around you, brought you in, and Curls and Foster, they were fantastic, and Jack Cale, he coached a couple of sides I played in, so it was really good to be involved at the top echelon of that great era in the 70s.
Yeah, and what about the crowds? I mean, we're talking about, you're saying the passion from the players. But what about the public? I know Ted Whitten and all those, and Knuckles Curley were very proud South Australians, but there was 50,000 people the other side of the fence were, you had them all barracking for you.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and you knew that, particularly when playing in the ruck, of course, quite often you knew the boundary line. You could see the passion and just the excitement from the fans watching, and particularly if you were playing Victoria, and you're really, really competitive. So you could feel them trying to lift you. It was great.
And what about? Did you get to know many of your opposition players? Because of the media world back in those days, Victoria's a million miles away from us, so we didn't really get much. I suppose news articles or television of what you're going to be playing up against.
Well, not really, because you did mix with them afterwards. But Western Australia, Graham Moss, who played then, I got to Mossy quite well, and also I did when I was in '76. I went across with Collingwood when Murray Weedon was coaching, and I got to know. The number 30, Peter Moore.
Oh, right, okay.
He was a young fella back then. And
Dual Brownlow medalist.
Yeah, exactly right. And his lad's not a bad player either. But apart from that, I personally didn't really get close with any of the opposition state players, to be honest with you. But we always did mix after games.
Yeah. And what about coaching? I mean, you spoke about some great coaches. And what about coaching for yourself? Was that something you ventured into a little bit after?
Well, yeah, in fact, I lived in the hills. Back just when I joined Port Adelaide, I moved to the hills. I coached Mount Barker and Nan for a couple of years. Yep. But no, it wasn't much chop, I'll be honest with you.
So, really?
So,
but did you enjoy it though? Was it?
Well, it was like anything I do, I made a commitment to do it. Once you make a commitment, you do it, and whatever. So until such times, unfortunately, at Nan, halfway through the season, I decided that perhaps we should part ways. So I didn't coach again. So that was just something. But it was an experience. I don't regret it.
No.
It was a good experience, but something that I really wasn't overly passionate about.
Yeah. And a little bit of media. Was that something that always seems to follow? You know,
I did a little bit with Mark Aston.
Oh, what a great bloke Mark is! He's a funny guy.
I think 89. I think it was, or 90. I did a season with the ABC, and we special comments. And then Mark and I would go back in the studio. A couple of minutes before the news, Channel 7 News, we'd do a live cross, and then we'd record the show. I think it went to air at about 11 o'clock at night in the country, which is good.
Yeah.
It was interesting. To me, it was a great experience being involved in a studio situation, and you realise how much hard work people do on the cameras and the floor people do. They really, and the sound blokes, they do work hard to try and make you feel comfortable and get the best show.
Yeah. What about your most memorable game? Well, would it be your first game? Would it have been a game that you played for South Australia? A game that you just dominated, which you've probably got plenty of?
Oh, no,
you're best and first of West Adelaide. You would have had some pretty good games in that particular year.
I think perhaps the best. I can't. Obviously, your first game's very exciting. Your first state game's exciting. Playing in a grand final is very exciting, even though it wasn't a winning one. But I think 1977 for me was a year that I perhaps broke out, if you like, and started to feel really confident about it playing league footy. Yeah. I think we got beaten in the preliminary final that year by Glenelg, and we finished third, and then Port Adelaide beat the Bays that year. That was a very, when Russell, a very famous quote from Russell that year. So
that was very famous, wasn't it? Yeah.
And whatever. So
it's been a bloody long time, but boy, it's worth it. Jesus, worth it.
Yeah, I've got the book at home. It's fantastic. So, no one particular game, but I just felt very fortunate that I was able to play half of my life.
Well, 300 games, over 300 games you played.
Oh, just 4 short. I was.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got sick. After the 84 grand. I didn't play again. The 84 grand.
That's right.
I got a virus that knocked me out, but I was 31. I had a good run.
Yeah.
And so I missed more games
from 15 to 31.
Yeah. So
most people, it's like in that era, it was like 22 to 30. Yeah. So you had a huge career.
I was fortunate, and Murray Wiedemann once again backed me.
Yeah.
I was a tall, skinny ruckman.
Yeah.
Used to sway in the breeze. Yeah. But he backed me, and I'm always very, very grateful for that.
Yeah. And what about now? Do you get to the footy a lot nowadays? You're SNFL or the AFL, and
a bit of both. Yeah. The last 3 or 4 years I've been going more than I have been. Actually, I'm going to on the weekend, but and I do a bit of mixture of SNFL and
so I'm really enjoying SNFL football at the moment.
Yeah.
I like the toughness at the ball. I love the tackling. Every now and again, a few little melees. We're not going to say too loud, but you can still see a bit of the structure and. I'm pleased that the SNFL's still keeping that style of play.
Yeah, I think
it's so enjoyable to watch. Yeah.
Grassroots. I went to Panther Park last Saturday and saw South and Port Adelaide. Yeah. I'll go and see Westies a bit. The past players up at the top of the bar. West Adelaide past players are a good group.
But you're drinking now. When you first went to Westies, you weren't.
Well, I've had I've fallen off the wagon, but no, it's all good. I enjoy a glass of wine and enjoy a beer, but not to excess, of course.
Well, mate, what a great career, and
thank you.
sort of mentioned to you before that you're one of my favourite players that didn't play for Port Adelaide, and then you come and was my teammate. It was a real thrill. It really was, and over 300 or close to 300 games, and the number you did for South Australia as well. Wow, what a great career! It's and what you've done for South Australia. I mean, people still walking behind you and saying that's Dexter Kennedy. I love it, mate.
It's an unusual name. I'm always
very proud of it. I am, and it's to call you a teammate. It's really touching. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Greg. I
really
appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Bye.
And we're back after the break.